Pilates is a technique to organize the body's movement to ensure proper functioning of the body physically as well as all the organ functioning, ideally. It uniquely does not isolate the musculature of the body, but uses the whole body as systems, which allows for the movements of fluid between the layers of muscle tissue, which I think is fairly unique to Pilates as opposed to some other techniques. I first learned it in dance. Actually, it's a funny story because I was at Columbia College for musical theater, and I was standing in line to register for one of my dance classes, and at that time, aging myself, there was not computer registration, so they all sat at desks with like schedule books in front of them, and it was a big rooms full of people at desks, and I was standing in a long line at one desk waiting to sign up for one class, and I overheard one of my other teachers at another desk describing a class to another student, and she was saying, oh, it's a conditioning class, it makes your muscles really long and lean, and people get taller, and being a 4'11" 3/4" dancer, that was very appealing. So I stepped out of my line, walked over there, and I said, what are you talking about? What is this? And she said, well, it's called conditioning for dancers. It's really this thing called Pilates, but legally we can't say Pilates right now, so it's called conditioning for dancers. And I signed up. First class I took, I absolutely fell in love, and I thought that this is something that is really important for me and important to have in the world. I started to talk to my teacher, and I asked how by the time the semester was over, I really was sure that I wanted to learn this, and I thought it would be a really valuable skill to have as being an actor. In case you're not working, it's really good to have flexible kind of jobs like that, as well as something that would keep me in shape while I was teaching. I asked her where to get trained, and at that time there really wasn't much training going on, so there was a woman in Chicago who had trained in New York who had what she claimed to be the first studio in Chicago, and that she would apprentice people. And so you could go there and you could learn how to teach it, and then she was one of the few places to teach, so you could teach at the studio. Time was such a conflict of who was right and who was wrong. Fortunately, I don't know how exactly this came into me, but I felt like I really wanted to get to the bottom of why it was so different all around. So I immediately started to travel as much as I could and take classes with as many different master teachers, and really came to the realization that every body is different, and that Joseph Pilates was really smart, and he taught people the way what they needed to make their individual body work really, really well. And that's the only argument I can really see for the differences in approaches to the work, as well as people then who are all body-aware people doing the work in their own body and exploring their own body and coming up with what is enhancing themselves or from their own experience. So that is then also where I am, because from all the experiences I've had, they're all in my vocabulary, so to speak, and then I'm writing my own poetry, writing my own songs now with the tools that I've learned and experienced in myself. So I think it is potentially detrimental when an instructor doesn't constantly seek more understanding of body awareness, body mechanics, anatomy, physiology, and staying with the growth of that educational system as well. And then teaching a very fixed, rigid way as if they're trying to see the body conform to a certain shape rather than trying to bring forth a certain shape from that individual body in front of you. I heard a very interesting fact is that the word educate actually means to bring forth, the roots of the word. It doesn't mean to stuff in or to direct, but it means, or even to instruct, but it means to bring forth. Pilates has given me now 15 years of evolving body education. So my curiosity, my amazement at the body and what it can do, my belief in human capacity and what humans can do in their body, even if you're like 80 years old, that you can do pull-ups. So I think that my acceptance of improvement, my patience, it's just been, I've had 15 years of growth from this gift that I've gotten in Pilates, that Mr. Pilates left for all of us. If it makes you curious, then it works, you know? If it makes you fixed, then I don't know. I don't know what it does for you. I guess you'll have rock hard abs and a really tight butt. But what it's done for me, aside from making me feel like I'm physically capable of whatever I want to do, if I want to go rock climbing, I can. If I want to start circus classes, which I do now, you know? It's to start after 3 kids to be like, hey, I'm going to start doing trapeze. And not a question in my mind that I physically am capable, you know? It's really that's been the gift.